Season 2, episode 12. Switch birth. Yay. Okay. I really liked this episode. I thought it was a really cute episode. With like a lot of the main focus on Bay and Ty, which was nice, and then you have a little bit of like an extra focus on like Catherine and Daphne, and then some stuff with Angela. Those are the only things that really are important, and those are the only things that I honestly really remember. So if anything like comes up in the next episode, then I can just reference back. It's not a big deal. So Bay and Ty have been spending a little bit of time together and stuff. What happened at the I forgot to mention this in my last one, but what happened at the end of the last episode with them is that Ty's friends had taken his phone, and I guess that they saw Bay's name or saw that he was texting her or something, and they were like, "Oh, it's really important that you come down here right now." And so she had gone down. She'd gone back like to Kansas or whatever, and she like went to go see him, and he's like, "Oh, babe, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "You texted me saying that it was really urgent and stuff, and is everything okay?" And then his friends start laughing, and he's just like, "Why would you guys do that and stuff?" And they're like, "We're sorry, it's just like a joke and stuff." And he's like, "You don't do that to a girl. You don't ever disrespect a girl ever." Like he's like choking the guy. He's like, "You don't disrespect a girl ever. I'm angry." And then she's like, "Ty, oh my gosh, that's not that big of a deal. Like, please stop." And they're like, "Okay, we're sorry. We didn't mean it. Sorry." And Ty kind of storms off. That was the end of. That was like what happened in the last episode. So in this episode now, Daphne, Bay is kind of like, okay, Ty's kind of unstable right now, I guess. I don't know. So, she's talking to like one of her coworkers at some point about Ty. Well, she was talking to Ty, and they made plans to like see each other later. And then her coworker, I cannot remember her name. Again, I'm having issues with names. But she's really sweet, and she's like, "Oh, sweet." She's like, "You have plans with Ty later?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "That's good. I'm glad that he's spending time with people and stuff. I'm glad to hear that." And then she kind of walks away, and Babe's kind of like, "What was that about? That's kind of weird." So that's happening. Meanwhile, Catherine and Daphne they're doing this whole mother daughter tennis thing, which is beyond. I'm no, okay, I take that back. If you play mother daughter tennis, that's totally fine. Them playing mother daughter tennis though, that's just funny to me. I'm sorry, it's funny. But at the same time, it's actually kind of nice that they're trying to find like a way that like they connect and stuff, and that they can enjoy together. And Daphne's always enjoyed sports. We know that from like the first season, so it's nice to see that. And who even cares? We're going back to Bay and Ty, but Bay is talking to like that coworker again, and she's like, "What's up with Ty? Like, what's going on?" And she's like, "He just you could tell he's kind of just he's gone through some things. I mean, well, obviously anybody who is overseas like fighting, the military and stuff is gonna go through some stuff. He's gonna change." And so she's like, "Everybody changes." And she's like, "How do you know Ty?" And the girl was like, "Oh, he was in the same group as he was with my brother and stuff. They fought together." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool. That's how you know him and stuff." And she's like, "How do you And she's like, she said something about how she's just been concerned for Ty and like how he's handling things and stuff because of her brother. And Bay asked something about her brother, and she's like, "Well, actually, my brother he killed himself, and in the war after he came back from the war and stuff, and so it's like it was kind of hard and stuff." And Bay's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's kind of why like I've been concerned about Ty." And she's like, "Ty's always like taking care of me. He was really there for me after that happened and stuff. So I just care about him a lot, and I want him to be happy and okay." Which I'm like, that's really sweet and really sad, and that was not where I was expecting any of that to go at all. It just wow, you don't think that that's where you never think that that's what it's gonna go to. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's really sad." And I really like I like this coworker because the fact that like she's gone through something so sad, but she's still smiling. I'm like, this is a good character. We need more of her. And so Bay's like, "Yeah, Bay decides, I guess, like to go and try to like talk to Ty and stuff, and like get him to just kind of open up more if he ever needs to talk to anybody." So she brings it up after they went to go get some food, and they're like trying to decide like, "Oh, maybe we should see a movie or something." And she kind of brings it up, and Ty's like, "Oh that was hard." And she's like, "Are you like okay? Like have you?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm fine. And she's like, okay. And he obviously Ty is not fine, but you know, it's probably not something that you're just like ready to just jump up and talk about and everything. So later, Bay is talking with Regina, and she's like, yeah, and you know, I feel really bad about Ty, and Regina's like, Ty's back, and totally forgetting again, just whoosh over my head that Daphne and Regina knew Ty before Bay ever did. Regina used to babysit Ty, like which is really cute. And so she's like, oh, Ty. And Regina actually goes to see him on the base, and he's like working on one of their trucks, and she's like, thank you so much for telling me that you were here. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Regina, you know, just, you know, easing back into it stuff. And they're talking, and she's talking about how, like, you know, her recovery with alcoholism and stuff, and how it's always good to like have people who are supporting you, and it's always nice to have somebody to talk to and stuff. And he nods everything. She gets through to him basically, and he goes back to like talk to Bay and everything, and it's all good, and like they talk, and I'm like, oh yay, Ty's happy. And then okay, I guess we have to talk about Catherine and Daphne. They're like at this disconnect now because Daphne is apparently really upset that Regina left, even though Daphne said that it was easier for her without Regina there. So I'm like, well, which one is it, Daphne? Do you not want Regina to stay in the house and be around, or do you want her there, but you just, like, what is it that you actually want? Because you seem to be kind of you're going back and forth here, and it's not working out for me. And like, Catherine is upset about Bay leaving to stay with Regina because Bay decided that she's gonna stay with Regina for a little while, you know, kind of connect with her. And Catherine's like, now I'm upset. I'm like, okay, I get that you're kind of sad that your daughter left, but I'm like, but at the same time, your other daughter literally did the same thing. I mean, yeah, Regina wasn't there, but I'm like, Daphne still stayed in the house after Regina got back. Like, she did not move back into the guest house with Regina. So I don't really understand. I just think it's stupid because I'm like, how come Daphne can connect with you guys, but Bay can't leave to try to connect with Regina in a similar fashion? Like, just think about that for a minute, Catherine. So they're both all like, we're upset. Now we're playing a sucky game of tennis. Oh, we're sad. And they just thought it'd be fun. She's like, oh, we weren't ready. You're just, oh, I'm so angry, angst. And she like goes and leaves and stuff. And I'm like, yes, please leave. And so they actually have their tennis match, and they do terribly. And Catherine's like, you know, these are just like our communication issues and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna be really honest, all the scenes with Catherine and Daphne I pretty much tuned out, so I can pretty much tell you what happened at the end. So we're gonna get to the end in a minute. First we need to just take a brief minute to talk about Angelo. Angelo has been traveling and stuff, trying to like figure out where his kid is, because I can't remember what her name is. I was about to call her by the name of the actress, and that's not her name on the show. But the woman that he had that one night stand with on his way back to Italy or whatever, she decided to give the baby up for adoption or whatever. And okay, here's the issue. Wait, okay, the whole problem with the way that had ended is that I think it was actually like the same day, because everybody was in the same clothes. Like, Babe was still fully dressed in the same clothes that she had on hours ago when the baby was being delivered. And when they had come back to the hospital or whatever, and they saw Angelo pacing, and they're like, oh, where's she and the baby? Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, they took her. The nurse said that she said she had a plane to catch and stuff. And I'm like, no, because I was like, is this the same day? Do they honestly expect us to believe that it's the same day? Because there's no way that she was released on the same day, and there's no way that the newborn baby was released on the same day that the baby was born. That does not doesn't happen. You're staying at least 24 hours. That's incorrect. And there's no way that they would have had newborn baby and woman who just delivered a baby. Okay, cool. Get on the plane. No, you literally have nothing for this child. No, there's something that's just so off about that. And so, you know, like, the assumption is that, yeah, she left and like gave the baby up, which I didn't. Is that legal? I actually don't know. That's a legit question. I don't know if that's legal or not. And I it's been in the back of my mind for a while, because I'm like, doesn't he also need to sign off on that? I mean, how does that? I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm like, shouldn't if Angelo didn't sign a paper saying, yeah, that's totally cool, for you to do that to, give the baby up for adoption, then I don't see how that could have happened. I don't understand how that could have happened. It doesn't, because I'm like, who the father, like, it's obvious that you do, like, people know that you know. How could, it's weird. It's weird, and it's odd. So he's trying to track down his kid. I think he has, like, a private investigator. Yeah, he has a private investigator, he's a millionaire now. So he's trying to, like, track down where his child is, and he's, like, in the town. He's kind of, like, watching this one family and stuff, and he's like, I think that's her, I think that's my baby, and stuff, and he's, like, calling Regina, like, how did you deal with, like, seeing Babe, but, like, not being able to go over there and, like, see her and stuff, and he's freaking out, because he thinks that's his kid, and then at one point, when he's, like, off the phone with Regina, the father who's there, he's like, why have you been following my family? And we never get to see the awkward and weird conversation that happens afterward. He's like, I'm pretty sure you have my kid. But Angelo comes back and stuff, and he's like, Regina's like, oh, hey, you're back. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, how did everything go? What's going on? And he's like, it wasn't my kid, apparently. And Regina's like, oh my gosh, well, that's tragic. I'm sorry, that happened. And he's like, well, she's like, well, obviously Bay and I will be leaving, getting out of your hair soon. And he's like, no, please stay. I really want my family here right now. I can't be alone right now, which makes sense. So she's like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll stay. So back at the Kenishes now, Daphne walks over to, like, see, Catherine. I'm sorry. Daphne walks in and sees Catherine cooking, and, she's like, what's all this? And she's like, oh, I was making your lasagna recipe. And she said, but how come there's so many leftover ingredients and stuff from it? And Daphne's like, oh, because it's supposed to make 2 trays, not just the one, because it's, supposed to be for a lot of people. And so Catherine's like, oh my gosh, we're going to be eating lasagna for a week. And they laugh, and Catherine's like, I wonder, she's like, what do you think that Regina and Bay are eating? And Daphne's like, probably cereal. And they're like, you think they're ready for, like, a real home-cooked meal? So, like, they're making some food and stuff. They make the lasagna. And this is the best ending ever. So they're holding the tray of lasagna and stuff, and they're going to go see them. Meanwhile, at Angelo's apartment, Angelo's trying to teach Regina and Bay how to dance. And they're like, we can't do this. We're not able to do this. And, he's like, it's easy. You just gotta move your hips. And Regina's like, she's like, I'm trying, but I'm not fully getting the hang of this. And they're like, Babe. And he's like, Babe, come and dance. And she's like, no, I did not inherit that dancing gene. I'm awful at dancing. And he's like, oh, come and dance. So they're like in a little line dancing. It's really cute. And then, Catherine and Daphne, I guess they knocked, but, like, obviously they can't hear over the music. So they walk in. And then they're like, oh, hey, look who's here, hey, guys. And they're all smiling, like, Regina, Angelo, and Ben, they're all smiling. And Daphne and Catherine are just like, oh, we're really uncomfortable now. Like, what's going on? Why are they having sweet family moments without us? Oh, no. So they're just kind of, like, awkwardly standing there, like, oh, they're like, oh, hey, and they're like, so what's going on? They're like, come in, hey, come in. And they're just like, and Angelo's like, oh, I made some pizza. I made some homemade pizza if you guys want any. And they're like, oh, actually, we were dropping off some lasagna we already ate, and we were dropping off some lasagna for you guys, in case you guys didn't have any of the food and stuff. And probably because they didn't expect Angelo to be back, and they definitely didn't expect him to be cooking. And so they're like, Angelo's like, oh, that's fine. Just put it down over there. Thank you so much for bringing that. And then they're like, yeah, sure. And they're like, well, come and dance and stuff. And Faye's like, oh, he's serious. If you come over and dance, you're going to have to dance. And they're like, no. And they're like, oh, well, just to come in and dance. And they're like, no, maybe some other time. And so he's like, okay, well, thank you for stopping by and, dropping off the lasagna. It was really great of you guys. And they're like, yeah. And then Regina's like, Daphne, I'll see you later, right? And she's like, yeah. And then, Babe, like, waves goodbye and stuff, and then they just continue having their family fun, and Catherine and Daphne just exchange this look of, like, awkwardness, like, why are they having fun? It's literally what went through what I could just imagine, like, going through their mind from, like, what they, like, said. It was just like, why are they having fun without us? What? And so they, like, awkwardly leave, and then the 3 of them, Regina, Angelo, and Babe, just go back to dancing, and it's a really cute ending, and we're gonna end on that.